Hi YouTube friends, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I thought I would just pop on here really fast and talk about how to become an herbalist. The reason I'm speaking about this today is because I'm actually getting ready to open up the 6th round of my course, Ditch the Drugstore, where my students get to make their customized, it's not a generic, it's totally customized to your family, home apothecary, and there is a family herbalist certification option if you choose to go that route. So I would love to just speak for a moment about becoming an herbalist because there's some ways you can become an herbalist. You don't have to necessarily take a course or go to a fancy school, but I want to just mention the different ways to become an herbalist and how I went about my herbal learning, partially because of choice and partially because of I had to. So first of all, you need to think about your why. That is so important. Like, why do you want to become an herbalist? Is it because you love plants? Is it because you know that you're going to be able to help your family better if you have an understanding of medicinal plants? Is it because you are a mom with little children or maybe a grandma with grandkids and you do not want toxic chemicals slathered all over their bodies or them taking over-the-counter medications just randomly when better options are available to you? Or maybe you're a survival person. I just want to throw that one out there too, because I do get quite a few students who come to me who are interested in being prepared for an emergency. And one of the best ways you can be medically prepared is to have a home apothecary at your fingertips, and not just being stocked up on over-the-counter medicines, but knowing how to use the plants that are outdoors at your fingertips, just in case. And that's what I teach. But you need to know your why. So why do you want to become an herbalist? I'm just going to talk about my own journey for a moment. So years ago, probably about 20 years ago or so, maybe longer even, I was having a lot of health problems and the doctors weren't helping me. It was horrible. And eventually I just became so frustrated, I just gave up and I was sick. I had rosacea, which when you present issues with your skin, that's a sign that your liver is really being affected. And I didn't know this at the time. Finally, I happened to end up at a doctor's office who actually took the time to talk with me. And he told me that my liver was probably shot and I was a sick mess. And I needed to get off all the drugs that I was taking. And I bless that man to this day. So there are some very good doctors out there. Not everybody can get off their meds, by the way. I'm not saying that at all, and I'm not a medical doctor, but for me, that was the best option for my body. But I didn't know how to, and I needed some of the medications that I was taking. So I started trying to learn. This was before the internet, you guys. This was before the internet had any information. And I remember trying the internet was baby, brand new, and I was trying to find information. There wasn't any. And I happened across a book in a feed store one day by Rosemary Gladsstar. She's one of my herbal heroes. Thank goodness for her. She brought herbalism to the forefront. There's a reason why she's called the grandmother of herbalism. I adore this woman. Anyway, I could go on about how much I admire and respect her forever, but I won't. And I've studied with a lot of other herbal teachers and taken other courses that they're wonderful too. But anyway, I came across this book and I dove into it. And it's a very simple book written for beginning herbalists, and I am so happy that I found it because a whole new world was open to me. And at that point, I became passionate, just so passionate about learning natural ways to work with my own body and my own health and just become healthier. And thank goodness. Over time, I learned a lot, and I learned a lot through experience. So I'm just going to say ways to become an herbalist. The first one is to self-study, find some books, find online sources you trust, and don't trust everything, please. There's a lot of garbage out there. I'm totally serious. Please don't try to learn herbalism on Facebook, okay, or YouTube, unless you know that the person is legitimately an herbalist with training. Anyway, I will move on because that's a little rant that I have, a little pet peeve is there's so much false information out there. But anyway, self-study is the first thing. The second thing is to just start working with the plants. So after you have a little bit, you've dabbled maybe a little with some books and some recipes, really start investigating the plants. You have to do that. There's no way you could become an herbalist without building a relationship with the plants that God has given us on this earth to take care of our health and our bodies. Plants have energetics just as human beings do, just as conditions do. Conditions meaning like a fever or something like that. So we need to learn to work with all three really, really well in a holistic way. So number one is self-study. Number two is working with the plants. Number three, and I honestly say this is the one you should definitely add into your herbal training at some point, and that is taking online courses or courses in person with a trustworthy herbalist. Now I'm going to talk about that for a minute because there are some pitfalls to taking some herbalism courses. And trust me, I have studied with a lot of teachers over the years because a couple of reasons. I wanted kind of a broad view of herbalism, but number two, there wasn't a lot available to me, and when I first started, I didn't have a lot of money, so I was taking cheap courses, and they were pretty much worthless for the most part. I learned a little bit, but there were some that were just completely into New Age and, you know, some even into the occult. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me because I'm a Christian herbalist. And I felt very uncomfortable going there. I do have an article written on my website about my journey through those pitfalls, and you can read that if you want to. But I suggest if you want to take a course online, you find a teacher whose teaching resonates with you, whose value system resonates with you, who's experienced, who is not just a random person who might have taken a little course here and there, you know, and now they can share what they know. You want to be taking a course from somebody with training and with years of experience and who's a good teacher. Because I'll be honest, somebody can have all the information in the world, but if they cannot present it well, then what's the point, right? I happen to have 30 years of experience in the education field, and I was a very good teacher to my upper elementary and my middle school students and teachers as well. I taught professional teachers. But anyway, that's another aside. Finally, you can spend a ton of money and you can show up at an herbal school in person and get some kind of a diploma if you want to do that. For me, when I started years ago, I was not able to do that. And I think there were only like 2 schools that I could find at the time. And they were far, far away from me, and they were lots of money. And I was a single mom with a high school child and a career. So you can see that in my case, I was not able to do that. If you're a 20-year-old and you're just starting out in life and this is something you want to do, you might want to explore actually going to an herbalism school or a school that has an herbalism program, but that's not necessary to become an herbalist. Really quickly, let's just talk about the federal government and herbalism. And I've actually done another video on how herbalism is actually illegal and what herbalists who practice need to watch out for. When I say herbalism is illegal, what I'm talking about is the fact that herbalism as a health alternative practice is not legal in the United States. Now, in other countries, it is. And some states in the United States are actually pretty favorable toward herbalism. Like Idaho is one of them. I love living in Idaho because herbalists are actually mentioned in the state laws as fairly legitimate. So that's good. But not all states operate like that. So you need to look into your state's cottage laws. But the federal government is definitely against herbalists you know, making statements that they practice medicine, and we shouldn't. We're not medical doctors, right? We don't treat, we don't diagnose, we don't cure, and we don't prevent diseases. So we can't say these things. When you find a good herbalism teacher or school, the teacher should be presenting the materials with that in mind all the time. You can't be making statements that you're treating something, okay, or you're curing something. So I just want to throw that out there. That's one way you can actually vet a teacher if you are looking for an herbalism teacher. I also want to mention one more time, I'm just going to talk about the values just once more. So there are different herbalists out there who have different value systems that they bring to the table with their teaching. And I'll be honest, I've taken some courses with a couple of teachers that were very disturbing to me because their value systems were so antithetical to what mine are as a Christian. And it was kind of difficult to get through the course. So, you know, I went through the courses and I gleaned the good stuff and I left behind the bad stuff. But see, not all people are able to do that. There's an awful lot of young people getting sucked into New Age and occult and Wicca and things like that, who are Christians, who are being veered away from the faith. And if you want to talk with me more about this, I ask you to please join my Facebook group, Practical Herbs and Oils with Heidi. And I'm willing to have discussions about this all day long. But it's very, very important if you're a Christian. If you're not a Christian, just find a good teacher that resonates with you. And I also just want to say, even though I'm a Christian herbalist, I do not pound the religion. I don't teach religion. I teach herbalism. But my viewpoint is from the place that God created the plants. He created the medicine for us. He created this beautiful earth that we live on. And that is the value system that I bring to my teaching. So just so that you're aware. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up and I'm just going to say finally at the very end, work with the plants. That's the #1 way you're going to learn how to use your herbalism skills in a productive way. You must, you know, as much as possible, work with medicinal plants and know how they feel on your body and make some decisions based on that. I'm here to help everybody who wants to become an herbalist. So be free to join my Facebook group or take a course from me. I would love for you to join us in the next round of Ditch the Drugstore. I am super excited, so stay tuned for more information on that. And if you want some free herbalism gifts or if you want to take my free 5-day Herbal Foundations course, I will leave the link in the first comment. All right, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I am going to sign off here, and I will talk with you in the next video. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.